everybody. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming. I have David McNiner and Mr. Ty Austin here as well. This is the Niners Coast to Coast, and I am proud to be back today. It's been a little while for me. I have a new work schedule, and it's kind of hard for me to get in and out. But when I have an opportunity, you'll see my face. Well, everybody, I like to say thank you again, and let's get started. We're talking 49ers football if you're into that kind of stuff. If not, if you're into just, supporting, a good channel as well, that's going to have a good conversation as well. We got a lot of people in the chat as well. We like to thank Niner Fanatic John J. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Tony. Miss Tony Call. We have Daniel Berry Sports.
Hey,
Appreciate you. We have the lovely Don Dotson as well. Thank you all for coming. So, folks, we have a pretty awesome moment starting. It's like that time of the year. It's like right before Christmas for some people. The presents are almost going to be open. You just can't wait for it to get started, and so everything's anticipating, right? Everything there's just so much to you don't know what's going to happen just yet. Well, for us, we have a great a test coming up against us, and it's one of those games that I don't know. We just sort of can't get away from this guy. We've been tied to him since his NFL debut. Mr. Aaron Rodgers, the 49ers are battling you again, and you are coming to Levi's once again. Well, this time it's just a little different because he's in a different uniform. Last year he had a little bit of, you could say, bad luck. He tore, he hurt his Achilles, right? He hurt his ankle, and he was out. It was like 1, 2, 3 plays. I think he was in and out, and that was it. So the Jets season, they were supposed to soar, folks. Like Jets take off, and he's one of those quarterbacks that can definitely change the outcome of any game. And that's one thing that's really like we've been married to him since this career of his, because the Niners had an opportunity to take him first overall back in 2005, and they chose to go in a different way. Well, since then, we've battled him many times in the playoffs and had some really legendary games where he's played really well. Some of these games he's come out on top, but when these games mattered in the playoffs in particular, the Niners have dominated. And I can tell you, he's a great quarterback, so I'm a little bit nervous to see us going up against Aaron Rodgers week one. It's a 0-0 game. Nobody's won anything. No one's done anything yet. So it's one of those games where you can say it's just the beginning, right? Well, it could change your season. Win or lose, some people don't get it out of their heads. So let's start out with Mr. Ty Austin down here, and we're going to get Mr. David McNiner's thoughts. I'd like your thoughts on Mr. Aaron Rodgers, and then your thoughts on, we'll go from there. But let's start with Mr. Ty Austin on your thoughts on the quarterback of the New York Jets.
Oh, you're muted.
Hold on, I'm muted. Sorry. I was wanting to make sure I didn't interrupt Brian. And I want to say, first of all, it's good to have you back, buddy. It's good to see you. We missed you around here. Aaron. What can you say about Aaron? Darn good quarterback. We know he's one of the best that's ever played, that's ever done it. But coming into this game, we know he's missed a full year. And, he's missed a full year at a later stage in his career. So how will that affect him? It's going to be interesting to see how he holds up. Not to mention the fact that playing in Levi's against this current regime, he has not been very successful. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. I'm hoping we put a beating on him like we've done in the past and come away with the victory. But it's a great week one matchup.
Oh, I just totally agree. Mr. McNiner, what's your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets week one?
Well, I think his biggest problem is, Ty mentioned that he's missed a year, but has he really got acclimated to his teammates? He's literally starting on a new team. Yeah, he was there for the preseason last season, so maybe he knows some of his teammates, but then the offseason comes and teammates, you change a little bit.
Yeah.
And then this offseason, OTAs came around and he's like, no, I'm going on vacation to like Amsterdam. I don't know what he was doing,
Yeah.
folks. I'm just saying. but he's not reporting right now. He's going to report later. So he hasn't actually had that much time with his current team. And here he is, going to be rolling into San Francisco Monday night, and here we are coming fresh off of two contract disputes, which one of them is still ongoing, right? And I expect it to be a good game because the Jets defense is no joke. They have players at all three levels. Their offense, we haven't seen Aaron Rodgers in it to say that they're going to score a bunch of points. We haven't seen enough to know anything about their offense yet. But we do know one thing: our defense is good, and they're coming in with a defensive coordinator that is homegrown, knows the system, knows the players, and we have the same defensive backs that did actually play well as a group last year. Plus, Talanoga Hufanga, maybe week one.
Got to keep your fingers crossed on that one. I doubt it, but you never know.
So my thoughts on Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers, that's great points you guys both made. Has become acclimated with this team or acclimated. It's one thing. It's like if you don't have chemistry, then you got to start somewhere. And sometimes it takes a couple of games before that happens. And with preseason being the way it is, where they don't necessarily have as many reps with the starters or reps with each other, they're trying to see who fits and stuff. And, for pretty much they know who's going to start. And from there, everybody else is just a hodgepodge. So you might get some, and we don't have to get into too much of that. So we can understand the reps aren't there. Chemistry may be a factor. But one thing is for sure, and this is my transition point, Aaron Rodgers on any offense really, really just brings the level up of any team. I was talking to my daughter and I was explaining to him, if you're not a very good wide receiver, Aaron Rodgers makes you a better wide receiver. He throws the ball closer to you. He throws it to you or a place where you can catch. He might not like you very much. He might want to replace you at one point or another, but he will use you until he doesn't have you, right? Or until he can get someone better than you. And that's where I really think a good quarterback is a great quarterback. You look at Dan Marino. I can tell you Dan Marino is a great quarterback, right? And if I really think about it, I could try to tell you the wide receivers, but no one really thinks about Dan Marino's wide receivers. They think about Dan Marino because Dan Marino threw the ball, right? And that's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. He could put him on almost any team. He's going to elevate that offense. But the Green Bay, it got me thinking about the past. New York Jets defense from last year was really good. And with them having Robert Saleh, somebody who is our old defensive coordinator, who does know our defensive system pretty well and some of our, maybe tendencies that our coach likes to do. But he has his head coaching job now in New York, where he is, really, made a, good, strong statement. They haven't necessarily had the wins that he might necessarily would like to have, but he's got a culture over there that he's developed, and they have a really good defense. So their defense going up against our offense. Let's start with Ty. What do you think we should expect of the New York Giants? I like to call, and maybe some people have seen it too, the Gotham defense. What's your thoughts on the Jets defense, Ty?
Yes, the Jets defense. They're stacked. They play hard. They play well. It's the Robert Saleh defense. He has those guys flying around. They have two good corners. Their defensive front is one of the best. They got Quinn Williams, one of the best defensive tackles in the league. It's going to be an interesting matchup, to say the least. And I believe this game is going to come down to the battle of the trenches, especially their D-line versus our O-line. And the way it stacks up right now, Quentin Williams, their all-pro defensive tackle, who I just mentioned, is going to be lined up right over our rookie right guard, Dominic Puny. So what a test for him coming out the gate, his first game ever, right? We know he looked really good in preseason, but this is a whole different animal right here. So that's going to be the game within the game, just right there. Other than that, I think across the board, however, the 49ers do have the advantage. I think we just have too much firepower. There's too much skill players. Everyone has been together a few seasons now. We're talking about quarterback, running back, and receivers. So there's a mesh there. There's a gel there, and I think if they execute, they can move the ball. I think they'll be fine. The number one thing, as always, is take care of the quarterback. If they give him time, we'll be fine.
Without giving a score prediction, would you like to maybe allude to a little bit of one? Would you say it's a high scoring game or a low scoring game? Do you think it's going to be close, or do you think there's going to be one blowout?
I think it's going to be that kind of close, middle of the range type of game. I don't see either team going over 30 points, but I do see the 49ers getting close to that, maybe 27, 28, and them holding the Jets to the low 20s, that 21, 22, 23 point mark. So it's going to be like within the touchdown, I would say.
Yeah, I can feel it. Mr. McNiner, what's your thoughts on the gangrene New York Giants? Listen to me, New York Jets. I'm so sorry. I'm giving these guys no respect, right? No respect.
I see that.
You got to kind of give them a little bit of a hard time, right? Are they the New York Giants, the New York Jets? Are they the New Jersey something, right? So, when you don't even play in New York and you're in New Jersey, you got to get a hard time a little bit, right? So, the Jets, right? We'll call them the Jets. I'll just spell it out for them. They might like that. I'm not going to start clapping, but the Jets, folks, the Jets. Yes. David, what's your thoughts on the Jets defense?
I think their defense is really good. And, you ain't wrong when you say Jets, Giants, whatever. They play in the same stadium. Sharing is caring. It's a multi-trillion-dollar freaking industry, and they're playing in the same stadium.
They're allegedly working on their own.
Are
allegedly.
they? I hope so.
Plans. It's in the plans. We'll see if it comes through, but yeah.
But yeah, their defense is good. They have Sauce Gardner. I just like his name, Sauce. I like hot sauce. Yeah. I'm like,
football name.
But then you got they got DJ Reed, the guy who got away from us. The guy we chose to cut on injury waivers in Seattle said, "Oh, we'll take him."
Like Seattle does. That's what they like to do.
But they do have a good linebacker. They have a decent defensive line. I'm honestly thinking their defense is pretty good. And if we don't have adequate protection for Purdy on the left side, we might be seeing a low scoring type of game. Might be running the ball behind Pooney, like the whole game. And it just really depends, like Kyle, you're going to put Kittle on the left side and going to go double tight end set and put Kittle on the left side and Saubert on the right and help out both tackles. That kind of takes position players and helps their coverage because their coverage ain't going to have to cover so many, We'll just see what happens, At this point, Big Trent hasn't signed, and I've been in discussions with a good friend, and he's like, he thinks the Niners should make a sample of Trent Williams and say, you're not honoring your contract. We're going to trade you to some garbage team. I think Big Trent has a no trade clause though.
His contract isn't guaranteed, so I don't know. Mm-hmm.
It's just like one of those things, I look at it like he hasn't reported at all. The Niners could say, all right, since you haven't reported, we're going to void it. Here's a 2-year deal. Right?
Yeah.
That's what he wants. He wants guaranteed money. Here's your 2-year deal. And it's like, and I've heard reports, though, that he thinks he has 2-3 good years left in him. So if that's the case, let's sign him for 2 years. Let's sign him for 2 years, And if he wants to come back the third year, we'll just we'll say, look, dude, we got, this thing called the salary cap, and trying to pay everybody, you know. But yeah, that's about the only saga left we got right now is Trent Williams, ain't it?
Yeah.
I'm just not for that. I wasn't a big fan of the Ayuk drama that happened. I think I made it clear the last couple times we've talked. I don't believe that you guys or anyone really should truly pay for a hamburger twice. And when you order something or you pay for service that's supposed to be done, you're supposed to honor the length of the contract or you don't go back and say, oh man, that was a really, really good burger. Let me give you more money for it. It just doesn't work out that way, and, not everybody's paid the same. And that's just sometimes the way it is. And that's why sometimes players leave good teams to go elsewhere to get paid because that's the decision that they make. They don't want to stay together to try to win a ring. Championships doesn't matter. It's the money. So one of the funny things to me is like last year we had a Debo problem, and then everybody got offended about what happened with Debo, and then we signed him, right? And then the kicker Robbie Gould kind of did something right, and we also know now we had Ayuk, but we still had a year that we are supposed to have a little bit of time with, and now it's kind of what we've done now. We've restructured several players, and that's what you do with any business team to keep players together. I understand that. But with Trent Williams, I understand, like you guys said, the not having guaranteed money, but you already got paid. You already agreed to the contract, the statements. Would you feel any different right now if you had a Super Bowl ring? And folks, I would really like to say I would like to believe he would, but something deep down inside me says he retires. If we won the Super Bowl last year against Kansas City, Trent Williams retires. And we're sitting here talking right now without it.
I agree with that.
So, guaranteed money, now we're going to beg him to come back for something we've already agreed to services. So, trading him to another team, I don't know if that's necessarily going to work, but I do like what you're thinking about the voiding the contract and potentially, give him 2 new years of a contract. That's fine. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. But we got to make it where it works out for the Niners, because at the end, players come and go. And it's about the team, the banner behind us, the banners behind all of us, the hat, the logo. And what I think was really funny with what happened with Ayuk, Debo was 19, and he's really claimed to be the number 1. So now he moved his jersey number to 1, right? Well, I think Ayuk, I thought, it's really funny because he said that he's like the 4th guy on the team, but he's the true number 1. So we know he wanted to be number 1. And I thought, well, you got 11 on your chest. That's 2 1s, right? So what do you really want? So guys, I'm going to ask you guys what number emerges this year, because I have this great jersey that doesn't have a number on it yet. I just can't decide on, it should be number 1, number 11, number 3. And I'm just being funny here, but guys, I don't think numbers matter at the end of the day. I think as long as the teams comes together and they have one goal. But right now it looks like the teams went to the championship so many times, they're just looking to get paid now. And I know they're really good, and they know that they can win. So what's the motivating factor for this team to get it done? And what's your guys' expectations for this 49ers offense, this 49ers defense, this team to come together? And what's the factor? What do they need to do to win the Super Bowl? Because obviously I would think that your guys' expectations is this team coming together and winning the Super Bowl. So what's gonna drive them to do that this year, guys, besides, like I just said, money? What do they need to do to get together and win it all? Let's start with Ty. What do you think needs to be the factor this year?
It's just execution. It's execution across the board, and I think it'll be there. This is Brock's 2nd full season with the team, if you will. So he's going to take that leap, right? You take all that knowledge that he's gained in the past year, 6+ games that he's played, all the playing experience he's had. Thankfully, we've gone deep in the playoffs, so that gives him a ton of experience. So he's going to come in, 1, fully healthy, 2, riding high with confidence, and 3, with that attitude of, I've been here before. I've done this the past season and a half, so I'm good, and I have all my pieces around me. So he's completely comfortable. So for him, I expect us to see even bigger leap than what he has taken. The guys around him will just get better, and the defense is going to get back to what they've been doing, which hopefully is good for them. I think the biggest thing defensively is that they've retooled depth wise. That was a big problem last year. Our depth just wasn't the same as years past. So when a starter left the field, it was like a void out there. It was tough. So I think they'll be better. Plus, we got guys like Greenlaw and Hufunga coming back at some point, which is going to make the defense even stronger. So for me, it's just executing and, as always, staying healthy. They'll be fine. I think they'll reach the Super Bowl. They'll win the Super Bowl, finally get that monkey off their back, to quote Steve Young, and, start this dynasty run again where we're just in it every year.
David, what do you think is, Ty, thank you for that, because I agree as well. I think, it's about execution. They have a really good team. They know that they can win together. I think there is a factor that they need, though. There's going to be a moment sometime in the locker room that's going to bring them together, that's going to say, hey, this is why we're here together and we're going to win it, besides just money. David, to add to that, what do you think the Niners need to do to come together? Our expectations, again, is the Super Bowl, to win the Super Bowl. We've been to the championship many times now. This core of guys to the Super Bowl as well. We've lost the Super Bowl multiple times now with essentially this core of guys. So it's the moment that needs to happen, that these guys are going to be able to come together and get it over with. Because, you can't always blame one particular play. There was a fumble. There was a blown snap. There was a blown block assignment. The defense give up a crucial play. A field goal kicker missed an extra point. So, there's multiple plays in this game that can happen. Star wide receivers can be targeted and drop passes. Players can emerge that we don't know of, right? Injuries happen. But for this team to get over the hump without, money being the deciding factor, what gets this done? What's the deciding factor? Besides it's we're champions. Do they have that moment, or is that just like a dream, like a movie thing?
Well, I honestly believe this team has what it takes to get back to the Super Bowl and win it. At this point, it's a cut down on the mistakes at the big moments, right? Like CMC's fumble and on the first drive, there was a whole bunch of stuff in that Super Bowl that happened beyond Spencer Burford's missed block, folks. True. A whole bunch of stuff that if it went right, the game would have been different. So, at this point, minimize the mistakes, play good team football, and basically play 49er football, punch teams in the face, run the ball, make the defense scared that we're going to run the ball, then play action, bam, Purdy, right? So at this point, I honestly believe this team is better than the 2019 team. I honestly believe that. And I truly think they have what it takes to get it done. Right?
Yeah.
Another
that's a
thing
big one.
too,
so just to piggyback on that real quick, I want to say I co-sign 1,000%. I said execution. Don't shoot yourself in the foot, because we saw that a lot last season, especially in the games that they lost. It was only the 4 games really during the regular season and Super Bowl, but they just shot themselves in the foot. The teams didn't beat them; they beat themselves. So that was a huge point by you.
Ooh, not only Bryant's back, we got Nathan Z back. How's it going, buddy? Long
Check
time.
that out.
But there's one big thing that can do it too. Like Kyle, don't get in your head too much, man. Don't get in your head. Don't outsmart yourself. You're a good football coach. You know what the team does well. Stick to that. And well, I'm specifically referring to the third quarter when we come out in the Super Bowl and we had 3 3-and-outs in a row and he's passing the ball around, didn't run it. You know, do what we do, play 49er football, you know, and just, Kyle, don't try to outsmart yourself, man. Right?
I think there's going to be something that happens, and I do like to think of morale, the spirit of the team. I believe there are ghosts at Levi's. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. There are spirits. Um, but I think there's going to be something that's going to happen, and there's going to be like an awakening because this team is really good. And they've gelled before. I think there's going to have to be a re-gelling or something. The combo click's got to be broken and rebuilt, or something's going to have to happen because I believe there's a group of guys, and you can take a handful of 49ers and you can place them on any other team together, right? With any other group of 53 players. There's probably like 10 49er players, and we can win majority of our games. Now, we're really super stacked. We got more than 10 really super good players on our team, right? We can probably agree. We've got like 30 really good players, right? Or even 40 really good players. But the factor is we got like a solid 10 guys that we can move to any team, and that's going to be our Super Bowl window as long as we can keep these guys together. Well, these guys have to turn a switch. They have to decide. It can't be, we're winning it for Shanahan. We're winning. They got to win it for themselves. Or maybe they are winning it for Shanahan. But at a certain point, we seen maybe division in the not the locker room, in the coaching staff last year. Maybe there was some blame that happened. Maybe something happened where there were some plays that weren't being maybe executed the way that it was supposed to be called, and maybe players weren't getting along with coaches, and then maybe coaches weren't getting along. This is all speculation, but this is just from my eyes and what I've seen maybe from the outside looking in, right? Now we don't have a head coach or a defensive coach on the team, and maybe he is the scapegoat, maybe he's the blame, but something happened during that Super Bowl as well. Something happened during the season, and there was some rights taken away from him, and he was made to do things that he didn't want to do. And that's just the way it happens, because you got somebody who's a leader and he needs people to start doing other things. Sometimes things change, right? Well, again, you got a group of guys, and they got to take over. They have to play 49er football. And I know some people love hearing it say 49er football, and some people they don't understand that. Well, 49er football is whatever it takes to win. This group of guys is going to claw, scratch, whatever they got to do to come out on top. So for me to see this team, they know they can get to the Super Bowl. They know they can get to the championship game. Now, do they know they can win the Super Bowl? Do they believe that they should have won the Super Bowl this year? Or are they going to sit back and say, like, maybe what us fans are saying, and they were robbed because the other team wore the wrong color gloves, and, they were getting held during these. At a certain point, you have to put the penalties aside. You can't put the blame, and you have to rise above it. So somebody's got to emerge. And with this jersey back here, with it not having a number, I think that's going to be the theme for me. I'm going to look at it every game and say, who's going to be that player that's going to come out and win it? And it's not going to be win it for me so I get a big contract, win it for me so I get famous, win it for me, win it for the team, because when you hold up a championship, no one can take it. No one can take your championship away once you win it. And now we're looking at, going to the Super Bowl several times and being on the verge of being the next Buffalo Bills. And I said it, I don't want to be the Buffalo Bills. And I definitely want to be the 49ers. And I agree with both of you guys. We have a great chance of winning it. I just like to see it happen. So, okay, let's move on to my next question for you guys, because I like to talk to you guys, but I like to have a couple of good questions. You guys know I'm a special teams guy. I like talking about the kicking side, and I've been noticing some things during these preseason games. And to me, I could talk to you probably for a long time, but I want to get your guys' thoughts on the kickoff. The kickoff's definitely changed. We're going to start with Ty, and it's going to be both Ty and Dave. I'm going to give you a little different questions here or there. But the kickoff. Ty, do you like the new formation of the kickoffs?
It's okay. I don't like it. I don't hate it. To me, it's fine. It's a new wrinkle, if you will. I know other leagues have done it, but it's fine. It's something I can easily adapt to. It was weird seeing it live in person for the first time. It was like, what the heck are they doing? But you quickly adapt to it. So, I'm fine with it.
Mr. David, what's your thoughts on it? With it being a new kickoff and it just being just a little different than what it was before. Do you Are you vibing with it? Do you like it, or are you gonna adapt to the old joke? And is that the time that we all get up and go get a new soda or something like that, use the restroom, or are you sitting there watching the kickoff?
Well, I'm going to be watching the kickoffs we receive as long as we have like Isaac Garindo and Jacob Cowing back there. I mean, those guys, Garindo had a couple really good, kickoff returns, right? But on the flip side, our coverage unit needs to be able to tackle, and it's kind of concerning. I'm still of the belief that they did it because they think it's going to be more points output by teams, and that's what us fans want to see, right? We want to see our team score points, right? So, I'm with it right now. I'm going to watch it. That's for sure. I'm not going to, take a bathroom break right there. But at the same time, our special teams coverage unit hasn't been historically good under Kyle, since he came in. So things got to change because you can't be a bad coverage unit lining up the way you're lining up and with the new rules. You can't, right? Like I think in one of our preseason games, I think it was one of our guys, we were receiving and he was off the line and he took a step forward to the line before the guy had touched the ball and we got a flag.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you're lined up where you're lined up. Don't move until they've
it's that simple, right?
Yeah. You are where you are until that guy has touched the ball.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, it is going to cut down on the big collisions that we normally see on special teams, and that's what a lot of folks like to see is the big collisions. But yeah, I honestly believe that we're going to be seeing more points outputs. I think Garindo might have a kickoff return or two. My same thing with Cowing over the course of the season. Haven't had that since what? Richie James was it 2018?
Yep, Richie James Jr. Yep.
2018, I think, is the last, kickoff or punt return for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Richie James Jr., Ted Ginn Jr., Richie James and Ted Ginn Jr., kickoff and punt return guys, both getting it done for us and last guys. And then, then you got Hufanga with the blocked punt, that historic playoff game, right?
In Green Bay.
It's something interesting to me. If I was a kicker in the NFL, I'd be telling coach, just let me kick it out of bounds every time, like into the end zone. They're going to bring it out to the 30. It went for us. I think of the Saints game, it went bad for us where they got behind us. They almost scored a touchdown on us. And I think the last game, what was it, against the Raiders? We almost scored a touchdown. So it could go either way. It's just going to come down to who gets that, breakout. So again, I don't know. I think it's funny. They're going to still use it as a joke, trying to get up and use the bathroom, especially if that's what they're going to start doing is kicking the ball into the end zone. Put the ball on the 30 and let's see if the defense can go out there and stop them.
I think I was going to say, I think the strategy is going to be try to kick the ball in the landing zone and hope it skips into the end zone. So they have to recover it and only get the ball at the 20. That's the strategy. You're going to see teams coming out and kickers start doing these weird line drive kicks, these almost squib type of kicks. So to hopefully the ball will skip into the end zone and they only return it to the 20. Watch week 1. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. You're going to see some weird line drive kicks. Some guys trying to curve the ball like they do in soccer, all that type of stuff. It's going to be the experimental part of the season. And if kickers can't do it, Bryant, I think they're going to do exactly what you said. Just kick it in the end zone, give it to them at the 30. That's going to be it.
So, guys, let's get over to Ty again. I fire back to Ty. We'll go to David. David, I'd love going back to you as well. Well, we got the question. We could say it the monkey in the room. I think it's probably better to say the silverback in the room. Where is Trent Williams, folks? When's he coming back? What's his expectations? What's your guys' thoughts? Do we see him? Do we see him tomorrow? Do we hear his name this Monday night? What's your thoughts, Todd?
He comes back, we don't see him until Thursday. I don't think he comes in until Thursday, practices, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, plays on Monday. They'll let him play. Same thing they did with Nick Bosa. It's the same situation. So I know there's crazy reports out there, but that's what I think is going to happen. Normally, he doesn't practice on a Wednesday anyway. So that's why I'm saying we don't see him until Thursday. And that's when things will start to get real. And we'll see what he wants to do. So,
Mr. McNiner, how do you feel? When do we see Mr. Trent Williams?
At this point, probably week 2.
Week 2, okay.
And I hate to say that going up against the Jets defense, but the Jets defense is probably going to be without Hassan Reddick. So it's kind of it doesn't necessarily offset the loss of Trent Williams, but it does help, the blow a little bit, right?
I think everything's happening. Everybody's coming back. Everybody should be happy, right? Everybody got restructured. Trent and BA are supposed to be friends, the way I understand it. Big brother, little brother. I think we all seen the little meme, right? Step Brothers meme. So where you at, Trent? So if Ty, I lean towards Ty. I think he could come back Thursday, be playing back Monday. I could see your scenario coming back Tuesday as well. Interesting. I don't think the Niners would find him. I don't think they're going to do anything like that to poke the bear or disturb him, in any way. I apologize if you guys hear Murphy in the background. He's awake and lying, but he's a big guy now. So we've been enjoying the preseason. I want your guys' thoughts on the crazy tie in the desert. I think that was just no one could have written it better. I don't know if they staged that, but that is just wow. Nobody won the Battle of the Bay, and wow. So Ty, how do you feel about the preseason overall, and how did you feel about that last game, the tie in the desert?
Yeah, I'm a preseason guy. I love the preseason. I like to see the young guys get out there. This is probably the most playing time they're all going to get. So it's good to see them getting live reps. I was excited for it. I think a lot of guys did really well, especially from this draft class this year. A lot of guys, they really played well. They looked impressive. And it was good to see second-year guys like D. Winters show up and make plays. So I'm happy about that. Couldn't be more excited about the preseason. The tie was just a tie. It was weird, especially coming down at the end, that circus play at the end. It was as soon as the ball got back to the quarterback, I was like, oh, this is it. He doesn't know what to do with it. He's a skilled guy. And sure enough, he throws another forward pass. So it is what it is. But fun overall. I think it was good football played by everyone. And, it gives me hope going into the season that when these backups come in, we don't miss a beat. We keep rolling because they played so well.
I like it. Mr. McNiner, how do you feel about the preseason? We only got 3 games this year. I'm a little disappointed, but 3 is not the bad. It's not a bad number. But your thoughts on the Saints? All of the games we really played. What was it, the Saints, the
Titans, Saints, and Raiders.
Titans, Saints, and Raiders.
Yeah, thank you. And the Raiders. We'll finish out with that. What was your thoughts on the overall preseason and then that tie?
Well, I kind of feel like the starters don't get enough reps together. The league actually has rules restricting how many reps your starters can have per game, and it goes up, as we're going through it. But we're also minus 1 more preseason game. We're at 3. They're supposed to be 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, at this point, I feel good about how the preseason played out, except for some of the standouts during the preseason, like a guy named Jarrett Kingston, is no longer with us. And the Carolina Panthers now have him and team control of him for 4 seasons. So I don't understand why our brass does that. The guy's at least a very solid backup, if not a potential future starter, right? And we have him for cheap for 4 years, but we'd rather have, a guy that's retiring at the end of the season, or, like Ben Barch, a guy we can cut and bring back 10 times. I think is Spencer Burford, is this his third? This is his 3rd season, right?
So let me get you guys' thoughts,
so.
because what you're saying makes sense to me, or at least brings up a point. Maybe it was something that we were talking to each other about. But the Cowboys, for example, they have an overall historically good offensive line, right? Like, for the most part. Like, you think of Dallas, you think they got a good offensive line. Maybe it goes only back to the 90s when they had Emmitt Smith and that, Troy Aikman, who handed off the ball all the time, right? Whatever, right? But they've had a really good offensive line, right? So what's the difference with that? So, I mean, like, we got small guys. I know we like to run block and we got stuff like that, but we have Trent Williams, and we didn't draft Trent Williams. We got him from the Washington football team, Commanders, Ravens, the guys, right? We got him from there. So is he that good? Like, is he really like that good where he's got like the force or something, and it emulates from him from one side of the line to the other side, and it brings everybody's level up? Because I mean, like, I know some quarterbacks do that. We talked about Aaron Rodgers kind of doing that with players, but Trent can only block on the left side, right? He doesn't have like he can't go over to the right side and help out over there. I mean, like, if he would have been, I mean, why didn't he help McGlinchey all that time, right? I mean, there was all that time. So I see your point. It's like, why can't we get some younger guys? And maybe if we can't get them, as good as Trent Williams, we can't give him like, a quarter percent, or maybe half it. I mean, maybe half's too much, but a third, I mean, come on, so I don't know, guys. Maybe we should stop drafting. And I hate to say it, but maybe we shouldn't be drafting special teams players in the 3rd and 4th round. And maybe we should be trying to go after some offensive linemen. Linebackers, it seems to work out for okay, but yeah, we need some offensive line. And I know during the draft, we were doing a bunch of drafts and stuff, and I don't want to be that guy that's pounding my hand on the back of the table saying, I'm right. But I didn't think we were going to take any offensive linemen in the beginning of the year, and we didn't. And we ended up taking a player, and I don't want to make anything bad, and I'm not going to try to say it, but we take a player, a wide receiver that's supposed to emulate our wide receiver we just signed to a historic contract last year, who's supposed to replace him in less than 2 years. We signed Debo to a contract, and we're already talking about trading Debo next year, this upcoming year. Now we use this guy because hypothetically, right? If this is really what they did, we use this draft pick to finagle, to sway, to use as draft capital, or we can't sign you, BA, because we have this other guy, so we don't necessarily need you as much. But my point is this guy, he goes ahead and he signs some autographs in San Francisco, and he gets shot, and he's just trying to be a 49er, right? Doing what, a rookie would do, go out there and live his life. And, his family's in a different state, and he's just living his life. And I know sometimes you got to run, you got to fight, you make your own split decision. But
hey, Brian, hold up. I got to get out of here, buddy. I got to bounce.
All right.
I'm trying to cut you off, but you guys have a good show. BC, is good seeing you, and we'll talk during the week, okay?
All right, Ty. Have a good one, buddy.
See ya.
All right, let's continue.
Well, I don't. I just don't understand it. You have a wide receiver you signed last year, and then you got to get younger sometimes. We were just talking about Trent Williams being a really good player, but we only have one really good player at his position, and he's just getting older. You sign a wide receiver last year that you would hope that you're going to keep around. You sign a wide receiver this year for a future, but you're going to say he's going to replace that wide receiver you were going to play last year. So Debo gets signed. You sign Ricky Pearsall this year, who's supposed to replace Debo. They play the same style of football. You have Ayuk now, who says he wants a contract, but we're going to use Ricky and say, well, we have a contract with him. He's going to be really good. We foresee it in the future. So we don't necessarily need to sign you. This just brings up speculation on why are you going to keep signing players like that when your need is offensive linemen. You have one really good offensive lineman, and he's not playing. He's not on the team right now. He's not in camp. He didn't do anything all year. And it's because we didn't focus on him, or he doesn't have guaranteed money. So again, my point, my conversation at the beginning of the show with you both was what's the drive that this team needs? And it seems like it's just money. The number one thing is that the Niners come together. It's not, is it a team thing or is it a money thing? And for some of these players, they already know they're on a really good team. They have an opportunity to keep making it to the championship game. So pay me because I'm worth it. But what, David, what do they need besides money to get it done? And Ty said execution. I think something's got to change. I think there's either got to be an ego that has to change. Somebody's going to either have to get less carries. Somebody's going to have to block harder. And maybe that is ego. Maybe that is just execution. But I think I think they have to come together. I think there needs to be like some kind of new unity. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, but I think the Niners, I think something happened. I think the Super Bowl really did affect them. And with everybody saying, I want paid, there was restructuring. Again, why are you signing Debo? And now everybody's speculating he's going to be traded this next season. We signed Ayuk. So we signed Ayuk for a 4-year deal. Are we looking at trading Ayuk in 2 years from now? Brock Purdy's got to get paid.
Well, so the second Brock Purdy's deal kicks in, Debo's contract expires. So keep him. Keep him or trade him. Whatever happens. But either way, that's kind of a fact. And the TV deal has been helping us because how much the salary cap went up. That was like that was very unexpected. I honestly thought we were going to be in cap hell this offseason, and then the salary cap increased to the point where we weren't. So that was nice. But why? Why keep signing position players and drafting position players when you need to protect your quarterback, right? And that's what I'm saying. And you brought up the Cowboys and how they have a good offensive line. So out of the last 3 years, they have taken a offensive tackle with their first round picks. In 2022, their first round pick was an offensive tackle. This last year it was Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. But they also in the 3rd round took Cooper Beebe, the interior offensive lineman. So this is how the Cowboys build their team. That they have a really good wide receiver, a couple above average guys, and a good offensive line in front of their quarterback and their running back. We have a ton of highly talented, skilled players and one really good offensive lineman. It's like different philosophies, right?
Yeah.
But and we don't know what the freaking salary cap is going to do this offseason. It could not skyrocket. And if it doesn't skyrocket, that's going to hurt us. That's going to hurt us quite a bit. If it skyrockets up to a projected $300 million, which I've read in a couple places where that's the estimate at this point, that helps us big time. So, and even for the future, signing Brock Purdy, that'll help us big time. But at some point, you have to think, you have this guy behind the offensive line that is just killing it in Kyle's offense. You know, he's a good QB. And, you know, Kyle, you've been here a while. Until he came along, how many quarterbacks did you go through starting? You know, 2022, we went through 4 quarterbacks. You know, we had all those problems with Jimmy G because he was getting hit, right? Or his ACL was actually a non-contact. So, you know, you can't blame that on the O-line. But still, Jimmy G is under heat all the time. You know, or Trey Lance ran up the middle. You can't blame that on the O-line, you know. But at the same time, our quarterbacks are getting hit. They're not being given the proper time. Having all these skilled positions. Oh, go ahead.
What you can say is from the time that Kyle's been our head coach, the quarterback situation has had an issue, and it's been injury. You know, we can go to Brian Hoyer. He got spooked or whatever. Then we went to C.J. Beathard. C.J. Beathard, you know, bless the guy, whatever you want to say. You know, he kept getting up. He kept getting up. The guy didn't get hurt. He might not have, you know, he got sacked a lot. And he wasn't a terrible quarterback. He helped groom the team. He helped really, you know, get the offensive line to gel together. He helped get the players to learn the offense together. And then here we go. We need a quarterback. We're panicking. We try to get Tom Brady, but we can't, right? We get Jimmy Garoppolo, and he comes in those 5 games, right? When the team had just learned to build itself around C.J. Beathard. And you pull him out. You break the continuity of the team, the chemistry, right? Where you had a young quarterback. But he wasn't what? Maybe athletic enough. He was mobile. He needed time too. So what I'm getting at is everybody needs a little bit of time to develop. And, you know, like with Trey Lance, we didn't give him enough time to develop. And we got him hurt. You know, I mean, somehow he got himself hurt or we got him hurt. You know, bad luck. Something happened. You know, he broke his finger. He ran up the middle. You know, then what happens later? Same thing happens to Jimmy Garoppolo. He runs up the middle and, you know, there's too many injuries at that position. At a certain point, you have to blame the player, but then you have to look back and say, did the guy wear his seatbelt? Was he protected? You know, did he have full coverage insurance? You know, and what? Or let's go and ask, what kind of gas did he put in his car, right? So, you know, I don't know. I mean, again, you only have one good offensive lineman, and he's not out there right now. So, folks, thank you very much for coming. This has been a great show. I'm not here all the time. When I get a chance, I will be back. David McNider's great co-host, Mr. Ty Austin as well. This is 49ers Coast to Coast. It's a show that happens every Monday. We rotate the shows when we get a chance to. It'll be on your channel next time, David.
It'll be on Ty's. I believe it's Ty's turn this next time.
Check it.
But yeah, I'm just looking like so. C.J. Beathard was actually pretty. He wasn't hurt, but he was beat up to the point where that's why they put James in for those last 5 games, right? And you know, before him, it was the Hoyer the Destroyer, right? He was working on destroying our season. Then you know, so that's 3 QBs. But then when James went down, then Nick Mullins came in. You know, I think he actually got hurt, and then C.J. Beathard came in, you know, and finished out the season. 2019, we had a healthy James. You know,
well, Brian Hoyer, real quick for him. You know, he didn't do anything much for us, but there was one game. If you guys go back, we were wearing the all black uniforms. I think it was probably the only time we wore them with Shanahan, or maybe once more. But we were playing the Los Angeles Rams, and it was a back and forth game. The Niners got close, and you should definitely go watch the highlights of that game. The Niners, woo, we got close. But David, thank you again for having me and coming and keeping the show alive. Folks, we're going to get out of here. It's been a great episode, and look forward to being back next time. Check David and Ty out on Ty's channel next week, and the following week, David, and hopefully I'll be here on the next available opportunity. Guys, stay faithful. Look forward to the upcoming season, and go Niners. We'll see you next time.
Hey, that's right. Go Niners, as Corey Davis says, F all 31 other teams.
Corey Davis, the GOAT.
Yep. I miss him.